At the High Ridge Wildlife Sanctuary, a massive battle-hardened Canada lynx, named Jasper, was just days away from being released back into the frozen peaks of the Cascade Mountains. A solitary ghost of the forest, he had spent 8 agonizing months healing from a trap injury that had nearly severed his back leg. He was an apex predator, silent, lethal, and utterly untamable. He was destined to return to the wild, to a life of solitude and hunting. But everything changed on the coldest night of the year, when a tiny, freezing white kitten named Nimbus was rushed into the center. From the second their eyes met through the wire mesh, the lynx's predatory instincts vanished, replaced by something that baffled science and brought the sanctuary's staff to their knees. Instead of seeing a territorial rival or a meal, Jasper became the kitten's fierce guardian. He stopped eating. He stopped sleeping. He pressed his massive, tufted face against the cage, growling a low, menacing rumble at anyone who tried to move the tiny creature. The staff, seasoned experts with decades of experience handling dangerous cats, stood in stunned silence. Despite strict protocols to separate wild and domestic species, when release day arrived, Jasper refused to enter the transport crate. He paced anxiously, throwing his 90-pound body against the barriers, letting out a mournful, guttural wail that shattered the hearts of everyone present. Why was this fierce hunter risking his freedom for a domestic kitten? And what hidden trauma from Jasper's past linked these two unlikely souls? What the head veterinarian discovered in the dusty archives of the intake logs would not only break protocol, but would leave even the toughest forest rangers wiping away tears. Before we dive into this heart-stopping story, hit the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The wind howled through the Douglas firs, carrying with it the biting promise of a heavy snowstorm. Dr. Helena Vance stood by the window of the High Ridge Wildlife Sanctuary's main clinic, watching the flakes begin to settle on the frozen ground. At 58, Helena was a legend in the world of wildlife rehabilitation. She had stared down grizzly bears, splinted the wings of golden eagles, and bottle-fed cougar cubs. She was tough, pragmatic, and believed in one golden rule: keep them wild. "He's ready, Helena," came the voice of Ben, the sanctuary's headkeeper. He was standing by the door, holding a clipboard with the final assessment charts. "Jasper's weight is up to 35 pounds. The limp is gone. His reflex tests were perfect. He took down the mechanical lure in under 3 seconds." Helena turned to look at the monitor displaying the live feed from Enclosure 4. There he was, Jasper, the Canada lynx. He was magnificent, a creature of gray and shadow, with oversized paws that acted as snowshoes, and those distinctive black tufts of hair on his ears that twitched at the sound of falling snow. He was pacing, his golden eyes burning with an intensity that unsettled even the most experienced volunteers. "He hates it here," Helena murmured. "He knows he doesn't belong in a cage." Jasper had been brought in 8 months ago, found by a hiker, his leg mangled in an illegal trap. Most vets would have euthanized him. Helena had spent 6 hours in surgery reconstructing the bone. The recovery had been brutal. Jasper was aggressive, refusing food, hissing, and striking at the bars. He was the wildest animal they had ever treated. He allowed no bond, no trust. He was pure, distilled instinct. "We release him on Saturday," Helena said, signing the chart. "The storm should break by then. He needs to go home." But nature, it seemed, had a different script written for them. The blizzard hit harder than forecast. By Thursday evening, the roads to the sanctuary were buried under 3 feet of snow. The power flickered and died, forcing the backup generators to kick in with a low hum. The clinic was quiet, save for the wind rattling the frames. Then, the emergency radio crackled. "High Ridge, this is Officer Miller, Highway Patrol. Do you copy?" Helena grabbed the mic. "We copy, Miller. What are you doing out in this?" I found a box. The officer's voice was distorted by static. Someone tossed it out of a moving car on Route 9. I think there's something alive inside. I'm 10 minutes out, but the plow hasn't come through. I'm walking it up the drive. 10 minutes later, the door burst open. Officer Miller, covered in snow, handed Helena a soggy cardboard box. It wasn't moving when I parked, he said, breathless. Helena rushed the box to the exam table. She cut the tape and peered inside. There, nestled in wet newspaper, was a kitten. It was tiny, perhaps 4 weeks old, with fur as white as the snow that had nearly claimed it. It was limp, its body temperature critically low. Hypothermia, Helena barked. Ben, get the warming pads. We need fluids, warm saline, stat. They worked on the kitten for an hour. They named him Nimbus, for the storm clouds that had brought him. He was a domestic shorthair, likely the runt of a litter, discarded like trash. As his temperature rose, he let out a weak, raspy meow. The nursery is full with the raccoon kids, Ben said, looking around the crowded clinic. And the isolation ward has that eagle with the avian flu. Where do we put him? Helena rubbed her temples. The sanctuary was at capacity. The recovery wing, she said. It's warm and it's quiet. Put him in the large crate. The recovery wing? Ben hesitated. Helena, that's where Jasper is. Jasper is in a reinforced enclosure, Helena snapped, exhaustion fraying her patience. The kitten will be in a crate across the room. It's temporary. Just for tonight. It was a decision born of necessity, a breach of the separation protocol that Helena would normally never allow. But they had no choice. The recovery wing was a long, dimly lit building with heated floors. On one side stood the heavy-gauge steel mesh of Jasper's enclosure. On the other, Ben set up a large dog crate, lined with blankets and heating discs, for Nimbus. As Ben placed the tiny, shivering kitten into the crate, the smell of domestic cat scent of fear and sickness wafted through the air. In the shadows of his enclosure, Jasper froze. Usually, when a small animal was brought near, Jasper's reaction was predatory. His pupils would dilate, his tail would twitch, and he would crouch, ready to kill. To a lynx, a small feline is competition, or in desperate times, prey. But tonight, Jasper didn't crouch. He walked slowly to the mesh that separated his world from the room. He stood on his hind legs, pressing his paws against the wire, sniffing the air deeply. He smells him, Ben whispered, hand hovering over his tranquilizer dart gun. Watch him. Nimbus, sensing he was no longer alone, let out a high-pitched, terrified cry. Mew. The sound seemed to hit Jasper like a physical blow. The great cat dropped to all fours and paced frantically along the mesh. Then, he did something that made Ben drop his clipboard. Jasper let out a sound, not a growl, not a hiss. It was a soft, trilling prorrupa contact call. It was the sound a mother lynx makes to call her wayward cubs. Did you hear that? Ben asked, eyes wide. Jasper sat down directly across from the crate, his golden eyes fixed on the bundle of white fur. He didn't blink. He just watched. Throughout the night, the storm raged outside, but inside, a silent drama was unfolding. Every time Nimbus cried, Jasper would answer with that soft trill. The giant wildcat, who had tried to bite the hand of every human who fed him, was trying to soothe a domestic kitten. By morning, Nimbus was stronger. He was sitting up, blinking his blue eyes. But he was crying incessantly, calling out for a mother who wasn't there. Helena arrived for her shift, coffee in hand. How's the patient? Which one? Ben asked, pointing to the monitor. Helena looked. Jasper had not moved all night. He was pressed against the wire as close to the kitten's crate as possible. He hadn't touched his food. A prime cut of raw venison lay rotting in the corner of his pen. He's obsessed, Helena said, frowning. Is he hunting? No, Ben said. Look. Ben walked over to the kitten's crate and lifted Nimbus out to bottle feed him. Immediately, Jasper slammed himself against the mesh, snarling. It wasn't the snarl of a hunter denied a meal. It was the defensive roar of a protector. He swiped at the air, his eyes locked on Ben's hands. Put him back, Helena ordered, stepping back. Jasper thinks you're hurting him. This is insane, Ben said, quickly returning the kitten to the crate. He's adopted him, bonded to him. Through a cage. Over the next 2 days, the situation escalated. Jasper refused to eat unless the kitten was safe in his crate. If the staff took Nimbus out for meds, Jasper would pace and wail until he returned. Most shockingly, Nimbus seemed to reciprocate. The kitten, wobbling on unsteady legs, would crawl to the side of the crate nearest the Lynx. He would knead the blankets and purr, looking at the giant predator with total trust. We have a problem, Helena said on Friday night. The storm had cleared. The release was scheduled for tomorrow morning. We can't release an animal that is psychologically compromised. If Jasper is this focused on a kitten, he's not focused on survival. Maybe it's just curiosity, a junior vet suggested. Once he's out there, the call of the wild will take over. Maybe, Helena said, looking at the file. But I've never seen a male lynx act like a mother. That night, unable to sleep, Helena went to the archives. She pulled the original intake paperwork from 8 months ago. She wanted to understand the animal she was about to send away. She read the trapper's report, which she had only skimmed before. Animal type, Canada lynx, male. Condition, critical. Caught in leg-hold trap. Notes, trap site located in Sector 4. 2 sets of tracks observed entering the area. 1 large set, adult. 1 smaller set, juvenile, subadult. Only the adult was found in the trap. Smaller tracks indicate the second animal circled the trap for hours before departing, likely scared off by coyotes. Remains of a juvenile lynx found 200 yards away, likely succumbed to exposure or predation. Helena dropped the file. The room seemed to spin. Jasper hadn't been alone. He had been traveling with a younger lynx perhaps, a late-season sibling, or an offspring he was mentoring, rare for males, but not impossible in areas with low population. He had been trapped while they were together. He had been held fast by the steel jaws, while the younger one, confused and scared, had circled him. He had watched the younger one leave. He had likely heard it die. He failed, Helena whispered to the empty room. He thinks he failed. And now, here was Nimbus, small, white, helpless, crying in the cold. Jasper wasn't looking at a kitten. He was looking at a second chance. He was looking at the ghost of the one he couldn't save. Saturday morning dawned bright and piercingly cold. The transport truck idled in the driveway, exhaust pluming in the air. The mood in the clinic was somber. Protocol was protocol. Jasper was a wild animal. Nimbus was a house cat. They belonged to different worlds. One belonged to the mountains, the other to a sofa. Let's get it over with, Helena said, her voice tight. They prepared the sedation dart. Usually, they would dart Jasper, load him while he was sleeping, and wake him up at the release site. Ben aimed the blowpipe. Thwip. Jasper jumped, but he didn't run to his den to hide as he usually did. Instead, he dragged his heavy body to the mesh, as close to Nimbus as he could get. He fought the drug. He shook his head, his legs trembling, fighting to stay awake, to stay on guard. He's fighting it hard, Ben said, checking his watch. He should be out by now. It took a second dose to finally drop him. Even as he slumped over, his paw was reached out through the mesh, touching the plastic of the kitten's crate. They loaded the heavy, sleeping lynx into the transport cage in the back of the truck. Then the screaming started. Nimbus, sensing the absence of his protector, began to shriek. It was a blood-curdling sound, a sound of pure abandonment. And in the back of the truck, the sedated Lynx heard it. Through the fog of anesthesia, Jasper began to thrash. He slammed against the metal crate. Bang, bang, bang. He let out a howl that wasn't cat-like at all. It was a deep, resonating moan of despair. "He's hurting himself," Ben yelled, banging on the partition. "Helena, stop the truck. He's going to rip his stitches." Helena slammed on the brakes. She jumped out and ran to the back. Jasper was awake, eyes dilated, panting heavily, blood from a reopened scratch on his nose smearing the crate door. He was looking frantically toward the clinic. "He won't leave," Ben said, tears streaming down his face. "Helena, if we take him out there, if we dump him on that mountain, he's going to die. He'll spend every ounce of energy trying to find this kitten, or he'll just lay down and give up. He's grieving." Helena looked at the magnificent, broken creature. She looked at the blood on the cage. She thought about the tracks in the snow from 8 months ago, the failure, the guilt. She realized that saving him didn't mean putting him back in the forest. Saving him meant healing his heart. "Turn it around," Helena commanded. "What?" "Turn the damn truck around, Ben. Bring him back inside." They brought Jasper back to the enclosure. The moment the crate was opened, he didn't run for freedom. He didn't attack the staff. He stumbled, groggy and drugged, straight to the mesh wall. Ben brought Nimbus's crate back. Jasper let out a long, shuddering breath. He lay down. Nimbus, seeing his giant friend return, pressed his pink nose against the wire and purred. Jasper closed his eyes, and finally, for the first time in 8 months, he slept peacefully. The next day, Helena made a phone call that would change the sanctuary's future. She called the State Department of Fish and Wildlife. "I have a non-releasable lynx," she told the commissioner. "Physical injury?" he asked. "No," Helena replied, watching the monitor where Jasper was grooming the mesh, while Nimbus mirrored him on the other side. "Psychological attachment. Exceptional circumstances." It took months of paperwork, lawyers, and inspections. But Helena was relentless. She raised funds to build a special habitat, a massive 2-acre enclosed forest with a heated cabin. It was escape-proof, predator-proof, and designed for 2. 6 months later, the day came. Not a release into the wild, but a release into their new home. They opened the door to Jasper's side and the door to Nimbus's side. Nimbus, now a lanky 6-month-old teenager, trotted out into the grass. He froze, looking at the giant cat without the barrier for the first time. Jasper stepped out. He towered over the cat. One swipe of his paw could end it. The staff held their breath. Jasper lowered his head. He bumped his nose against Nimbus's head, agreeing. Then he began to groom the white cat's ears with his rough tongue. Nimbus leaned into it, purring so loud it could be heard from the observation deck. Today, if you visit High Ridge Wildlife Sanctuary, you might see them. Visitors from all over the world come to see the odd couple of the Cascades. You will see Jasper, the fierce 40-pound Canada lynx, patrolling the perimeter of his enclosure, looking wild and dangerous. And trotting right behind him, often weaving between his massive legs, is Nimbus, the white domestic cat. They sleep in a pile of fur in the sun. They share food. When it snows, Jasper curls his body around Nimbus to keep him warm, just as he tried to do that first night through the wire. Biologists say it's a case of misplaced parental instinct. Skeptics say it's just an anomaly. But Dr. Helena Vance knows the truth. She knows that everyone, even a wild hunter from the top of the food chain, needs a reason to keep going. She knows that on a snowy night, 2 broken souls found each other in the dark, and in doing so, they saved each other. Jasper didn't just save a kitten that night. The kitten saved him back. If this story touched your heart, please share it with your friends and family. It's a reminder that love knows no species and no boundaries. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below about what you think of Jasper and Nimbus. Until next time, keep your heart open to the wild